So over the past few weeks, it's been really rough in the crypto asset class. More than $1 trillion in the crypto market was wiped out over the past 6 weeks. We even had Bitcoin back around 126,000 in early October, dropping down to the low 80Ks. And looking at the crypto asset class today, we can see that we are down about $1.2 trillion. Now, what's important to consider is nothing blew up. There were no exchange collapses, there weren't any massive hacks, there wasn't some FTX failure. And as far as I can tell, it was really just macro-driven selling, so there was a lot of deleveraging, there were some large liquidations, there were AI names and tech stocks that fell, and crypto really reacted like it was the highest risk asset in the room. And I can't emphasize enough, it is so important. When in doubt, zoom out, look at the macro structure. Is it a long-term uptrend? The answer is yes. We can do the same thing for Bitcoin on the weekly or the monthly time frame once you zoom out and look at the past cycles. And point being is we've seen these drops before for Bitcoin specifically, so whether we're looking at 36%, 31, 32, back in 2021 before creating one more high, that was over 50% with bearish divergence. Or even go all the way back to 2017 where we saw a bunch of 30 to 40% drops. And that's the question we're all asking ourselves, are we going to get a bull run, another full cycle with alt season, or is the bear market beginning? And another thing to consider is we've already seen the S&P 500, one of the world's largest indexes or indices, do about a 20% drop. And that was followed by a very strong V-shaped recovery. So who's to say that we can't see the same thing for Bitcoin, because we've seen this many times before. We've also yet to have Bitcoin dominance crash. And remember that the last two times that we had Bitcoin dominance crash were the last two alt seasons. And friendly reminder, guys, I can't predict the future considering all these macro events. We have a bunch of geopolitical tensions, we have tariffs, nobody knows the future. And this is never financial advice. I'm showing you what I hope happens based on the tokenization estimates by BCG and the company Ripple. And this report was back in April, and we can see estimating $600 billion in 2025 to climb to $18.9 trillion by 2033. And I'm always going to be having crypto exposure. Whatever happens isn't going to be changing my overall strategy. I'm going to do what I've done since 2017. If we get a bear market, I'm going to continue to DCA when prices are crashing, when they are liquid and running sideways. And if we get a bull run with an actual alt season of Bitcoin dominance crashing as Bitcoin is making higher highs, then I'm able to actually take profit and stagger out. And just do my best to rinse and repeat, so based on the market, that'll determine if I'm going to be sitting 20% cash or taking profit and getting back to like 80% cash. So again, I'm not perfect, I've been wrecked many times, but what's important to me is keeping a long-term time horizon, because if I'm always thinking about tomorrow or next week, I'll go crazy. I'm always trying to think 5 or even 10 years out, or maybe even decades out for my Roth IRA. Because I believe in not financial advice that the crypto asset class or digital assets are going to become a major asset class as they combine with traditional finance. Thinking about the bonds market, real estate, equities market, all of those are over $100 trillion. And I'm not saying that we go over $100 trillion overnight. I'm saying that is the overall potential decades out, considering that we're sitting at $3 trillion. Even getting up to 5, 10, or 15 years in the future is a very big deal. So I just want to emphasize, we've seen this many times before. Every time there are 50 or even 90% crashes, crypto is dead. They even hold a funeral for Bitcoin in the crypto asset class. And then we get a liquidity cycle, prices are going up, and it's the best thing since sliced bread. Alright, and let's dive into the good stuff. So today is going to be our monthly iTrustCapital video. I want to give a huge thank you to iTrustCapital for being my only channel sponsor today. I've had my Roth IRA with iTrust since January of 2020, so coming up on 6 years, and they're without a doubt the best platform you can go to for not only retirement accounts, but non-IRA accounts. And as we can see, they have over 11,000 excellent rated reviews. And it's been awesome seeing them grow since the beginning to become a unicorn company with over $15 billion in transactions. And before we dive into all these updates, just remember this is linked right in the top of the YouTube video description, in the pinned comments, along with being in the very first link in my link tree. And using the link below, when you fund your account, you get a $100 funding bonus. So we already touched on in the recent drops in the crypto asset class that it looks to be primarily macro driven. There weren't any exchange collapses, there weren't any huge hacks, etc. And thinking about it, because I know how I personally feel, I read all the comments, I know how people feel. Huge events like this, or price drops, they usually reset investor psychology. We know retail is usually chasing the green candles, the pumps, the hype, and they ignore big opportunities during fear. And not all, but I would say the majority of people only want to open a Roth IRA for tax-free growth or even a premium custody accounts when prices are pumping and then the mood is euphoric. They don't want to take action during crashes, during illiquidity when prices are just ranging and doing absolutely nothing. In thinking about it, that's the exact opposite of what long-term investors should actually do. They should not follow the herd, they should do the opposite. And for those that actually believe in digital assets in the crypto space long-term, they don't see these moments of fear as something that stops them. They see these as opportunities or moments to quietly prepare. You create an account, you fund it with cash. You don't have to be all in. You can keep a percentage or all of your funds in cash as you wait for an opportunity. And you can even set conditional orders similar to limit orders to enter and patiently wait. And in every single market, after a huge price move, whether to the upside or the downside, this type of macro environment is a big opportunity to take a step back, reassess, take a breath, and get your long-term plan in order. Now we know that gold and silver is already available on iTrustCapital with over 80 different assets or altcoins available, but we did get this news. Roughly 11 million tons of gold, silver, copper, and zinc have been discovered in Saudi Arabia. And I believe it was from this group, AMAK in Saudi Arabia. Now we can't deny that gold and silver are basically at all-time highs. They have done exceptionally well, but something to consider is there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. So remember that Bitcoin has a finite supply, and we can think about these commodities and metals, so gold, silver, copper, zinc. All of these, what we think of as hard commodities, they're still subject to supply expansion as new deposits and reserves are found. And I also know that some crypto assets have an infinite supply or light inflation, but just emphasizing Bitcoin, the main driver of the crypto asset class, it has a fixed supply. There will never be more than 21 million BTC years in the future. And that's what gives it that structural advantage as that long-term store of value. We have to consider that when we're looking at scarcity of commodities, even gold and silver, because those can be completely changed as they continue to mine and explore. Now coming back to iTrustCapital, going over the premium custody account, which is a non-IRA account, thinking about recent events, it's very important to be aware of over-leveraging if you are trading leverage, keeping huge balances on open-loop exchanges that do not have a secure closed-loop system like the PCA, or overall going to the Roth IRA. And just completely ignoring tax planning now when it matters most. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The market wants you to trade based on emotion. The market doesn't want you to make a plan. You should always make a plan. And whether you self-custody or use a mix and diversify where you hold your asset, you have to really focus on security, risk management, and long-term strategy. Another cool thing about the premium custody account, if you didn't know already, you can actually do an in-kind transfer or deposit crypto instead of just using the US dollar. So as we can see right in the Learn Center, and you can also use the search bar right above, which crypto assets can I send to fund my premium custody account? They support Bitcoin, XRP, Solana, Ethereum, Stellar, Cardano, HBAR, SWI, and Chainlink. Alright, I'm back. Sorry about that. My power just went out again, so gotta love it. But basically to summarize, the premium custody account, this type of account is designed for investors that want the safest, most secure way to hold their crypto. So it's all held in a closed-loop system. Most exchanges that we use today are an open-loop system where they allow external wallet transfers, and with that comes a bunch of risk. So a closed-loop system is for those investors that want to sleep well at night. They might just not want to hold all of their assets in their own self-custody cold storage wallet. And why a closed-loop system is extremely secure is this. Closed-loop systems do not allow payments or connection to external wallets, so for added security, only US dollar withdrawals to and from your bank account only. And that alone eliminates the risk of a bunch of scams that we see in the crypto space where a lot of people are self-custodying with their own wallet, which I do as well, but there comes a lot of risks of losing your funds, approving a malicious smart contract. The nice thing is now you don't just have to fund with US dollar through ACH or anything like that, you can also deposit crypto. So iTrustCapital allows a bunch of retirement accounts like a Roth IRA, but they also allow non-IRA accounts like a premium custody account. And this type of account is incredibly secure. It's a normal taxable account. You can buy and sell crypto and metals 24/7, 365, actually owning the underlying asset. It's a closed loop system. Like I said, you can fund with the US dollar or approved crypto assets, withdraw US dollar only. Assets are held off balance sheet and they are reserved 1-to-1 fully backed. And friendly reminder, there's no setup fee or monthly fee whatsoever. There's just a single 1% transaction fee every time you buy or sell. And this is for clients of all sizes, whether $1,000 or more, because there are no contribution limits whatsoever, while having institutional grade crypto custody with multiple layers of security. Alright, let's see, we already went over this in a previous video. If you're considering a Roth conversion, the deadline is December 31st to convert any 401k from an employer into a Roth IRA. We also had iTrustCapital recently add a few more privacy tokens, which is really good timing considering macro events, so they added Zcash Dash along with Starknet. And let's finish up with a Roth IRA, my absolute favorite. So remember, you can roll over an existing 401k or a traditional IRA right to iTrust at any time, and you can have multiple. So you don't have to be all in on crypto if you don't want to. If it's not your cup of tea, you can have a Roth IRA with Vanguard, another custodian, in the S&P 500, and have a separate one with iTrust for crypto exposure. And you can fund directly with the US dollar, or you can even transfer from another crypto IRA provider, which is what I did with BitIRA years ago. Alright, let's go over one last important thing for a Roth IRA, because I see a lot of misunderstandings. It is one of my favorite investment vehicles, but it's not perfect, so please always consult with a professional for tax advice, legal advice, and financial advice. This video is none of those. So with the Roth IRA, you are putting money in, you are taxed up front to then have that upside potential where you are growing 100% tax-free, so you are paying 0% tax on all of the gains. But remember, there is still a very good degree of flexibility because you can access every single dollar that you've ever contributed to a Roth IRA. So as long as you've had a Roth IRA for 5 years, it is tax-free and completely penalty-free. You can withdraw your contributions at any time. So for example, let's say that somebody starts a Roth IRA and they are contributing $7,000 every year for 10 years, so their total contributions added up to $70,000. Now, even if that $70,000 grew to $150,000 or $300,000, you can still withdraw that $70,000 that you contributed at any time, so tax-free, penalty-free, as long as you've had the account for 5 years. And there are other benefits if it's a first home purchase. I believe that's only $10K. I think they should raise that considering inflation. But it's important to remember that you have that flexibility, so just make sure if you ever withdraw your contributions that you explain to your accountant so that the accountants can make sure that they include Form 8606, so they have to understand your cost basis so that they report it correctly to the IRS. But this is the type of structure or investment vehicle that can really help during chaotic markets, e.g. crypto, because when you build a Roth IRA during down cycles, you are setting yourself up for tax-free withdrawals in the future. And this space is evolving quickly, guys. Early days, it was just self-custody, holding your own assets, and that comes with key management risk. Some people have lost their private keys. They have been scammed. Some people might use an encrypted hard drive or maybe a password manager, but all of that risk of securing your keys, keeping that seed phrase is on you. If you lose it, you're out of luck, and you lose all of your funds. Then we had exchanges create 24-hour trading, and then we had iTrustCapital with Roth IRAs for tax-advantaged accounts, and now we have premium custody accounts, the next evolution. And it's not for everybody, that is completely fine. I fully support and do self-custody some of my assets. But we have to think about the implications of premium custody accounts as traditional finance is getting more integrated with the crypto asset class. A lot of traditional investors, they don't want private key headaches, they don't want to have exposure to withdrawal risks on exchanges, and they want assets that are fully backed 1-to-1 and regulated by United States custodians. We are in a crazy world today. There are scams everywhere. There are very advanced phishing attacks. With AI, there are fake voice calls that are very convincing, and there are even deep fake videos, so you never know what to believe. And iTrustCapital's premium custody account with a closed-loop model is only going to become more important in the future, where there are investors, especially in traditional finance. They want peace of mind, and they want to be able to access the market 24/7, 365. With an ETF, you are trading within limited windows. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. A huge thank you to iTrustCapital for sponsoring this video, and this is going to be linked right in the top of the YouTube video description. Until next time. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to smash the like button and let me know your thoughts down below. You can find all links to my crypto resources, including tools for charting, trading bots, wallets, portfolio trackers, and exclusive discounts right in my link tree in the video description. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.